Hey guys, welcome back to Kingdom Partnerships Podcast. We'd love to have you where we're trying to build the kingdom of God here on earth and doing it with people, with community. So today we have the honor and the blessing of a good friend of mine that I actually met through a community of investors. Shout out to Ryan Panetta and the Wealthy Investors Program. He went out of his way to reach out to me and network. We'll probably touch on some of that stuff today. But let's introduce him, the one, the only, William or Will Schwalm. Did I say that right?
Yes, you got it, bro.
Let's go.
Thanks for having me on here, man.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.
Of
this
course.
is awesome.
Yeah, bro. When we started talking about it, I was like, yeah, gotta have Will on. Let's go. So when I start this, usually I like to, people don't know you. Give us a quick intro to Will. What's Will? What does he do? What does he love? What is he doing now? And whatever you want, whatever's on your heart.
Oh, boy. So, hi, I'm Will. So I'm originally from North Jersey. Right now I'm living down in Texas, DFW, Texas, right outside Fort Worth. And moved down here a little bit over a year ago. And I've been working in real estate since I came down here, commercial real estate. Been working for a few investors, helping manage and acquire new commercial assets, nice. Specifically multifamily, which has been cool. Learned a lot about real estate, which I love it. I definitely could see myself doing this for the rest of my life. And recently I started working on a wholesaling business, which has been interesting, been learning a lot there. It's my first time like putting together a real business. Yeah. So a lot of learning curve, but it's cool. I'm learning a lot, and it's been a good experience. Besides that, I mean, I'm really into fitness, health, all that. I work as a personal trainer on the side. So I guess that's a quick little summary of what's going on.
Yeah, dude, love it. We could definitely tell you are into fitness.
That's good.
The boy is.
It's good to know.
Jacked and good looking. Anybody, he's single. I'm kidding.
I am single though.
But yeah, so love that. Thank you for sharing. I know for me and you, we literally met 3 months ago. Right? Yeah. And honestly, so I always have this. I usually say I'm a good judge of character. Not the best, but for the most part, I think I don't bat 1,000, but I'm pretty good. And from the moment we met at that coffee shop, I was like, oh, this guy's legit. Also, you're a Jersey boy, so we kind of get that East Coast vibe. So we vibe in that. But I just knew from that moment, I was like, oh, this dude's dope. He's definitely getting after it. Young gun like me. And we're kind of like on the same journey of figuring this all out, which is one of the reasons I did this. Cause it's like, hey, there's this discrepancy or this gap where, the Ryan Panettas, the Pace Morbys, the Dan Fleischmans, all these guys that are crushing it in real estate. Yes, they post all this stuff that you want to buy into. But there's also always that fear, right? And there's that doubt where you're like, yeah, you got it easy because you did this or do that, and you have 1 million people working for you, and this, you could come up with a myriad. And I'm in that place where I'm like, no, screw that. Like, you can do it, right? And so I think this will help a lot of people, like people watching, whether it's 5 or 500, that, hey, Will, Juan, they're starting off as well, like literally 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Right. And they're believing, they're investing, they're trusting, they're bringing people aside with them to get to that place. And if it could help that one person that's on the same boat of like, nah, it's not true. But then they see Juan, who doesn't have no experience basically, right? Or a little, and is like, oh, he did it, I can do it. So I think that'll help a ton of people. I guess my question to you is, something that started this for me and you is we invested in ourselves to join the wealthy investor community. Right. So shout out to Ryan Panetta and the wealthy investor community of entrepreneurs and coaching programs, all that stuff. But what is your take on the importance of community, the importance of mentoring, the importance of getting out there and trying something?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think wherever you want to get in life, whatever you want to do, there's probably somebody who's done it before you. There is somebody who's done it before you. And we live in a world where, we have access to endless information. But it's hard. It can be hard to decipher that information and kind of figure out what are my next steps.
Right.
So mentorship, I think, is massively important.
Yeah.
Because it's going to fill that gap for you, between where you are now and where you want to be. I think that. So Alex Hormozy says it. He says, you're going to figure out what you want to do. You're going to figure out the skills that you need regardless, but you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it in one of two ways. You're either going to pay for it in time or you're going to pay for it with money, right?
Yeah.
So you could spend money and you could go join a group, go to a mastermind, join a mentorship, right? And that'll shorten the curve for you. Or you can spend your time, what's more important to you. But at the end of the day, our time is limited. Money is endless. I mean, there's always going to be more money.
Yeah.
But our time here on this earth isn't forever.
Yeah.
So which would you rather spend? So right now I'm kind of at a spot where I'm trying to put as much of my money as I can into my education, into investing in myself, because we are our biggest asset.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very important thing for a lot of people to do. And I don't know why people have a hard time wrapping their head around it and like investing in themselves, but I think it's the number one. I know for me, it's always worked out. No matter whether you say you join a group and you might go into it with some expectations, but of what might happen, whatever, but you'll typically always get something out of it. Like just this relationship alone that I built with you is worth, it's infinite. Invaluable. Yeah.
Come on.
So like, that alone makes that investment in that group worth it.
So good.
But, and again, your community, right? They say your network is your net worth. That's huge. I completely agree with that. You got to surround yourself with like-minded people. If you're around people with negative energy that are bringing you down, like that's the energy you're going to carry on a day-to-day basis.
So good, bro.
So you got to be around people that are going to bring you up, help elevate you.
Yeah.
And I think, all that stuff is massively important, and investing in myself and doing that and seeking out people like yourself. I think that's one of the best things you could do.
Bro, I think you hit everything on the nail, and like I was like, that is so good, because it's true. Like, I forgot who said it, but they said this is like the 3 categories of basically how you should always live your life. I think it was the guy who's going to speak at WealthCon, actually, Ed Martell. Or it might have been John Maxwell, because I was watching a podcast between them two. But whoever said it, they said these are the 3 categories. There should be people above you that are better than you and everything, smarter than you and everything, crushing in whatever avenue you want to crush in, etc., so that you're always kind of striving or working towards that. There should be people across from you, your peers, your friends, your people who are on that same journey learning, because you could, relationship like this, build, it's invaluable. And there should be people you're leading or impacting or giving value to, so that you could raise them up, right? So if you're in those 3 categories always, if you're just stuck in one, especially the one of you just like leading someone, you're never going to learn if you're just with friends. So I thought that was very impactful. And I agree with you. I think community is so important. And there's literally, Hormozy said it perfectly, it's invaluable, all of this, right? No one can put a price tag on my time. 0. Like, only God can. It's infinite. It's invaluable. Like, in my humble opinion, there's no amount of money I'm worth, my time, especially.
Yeah.
But, people are stuck in their rat race, right? Like he says, of, hey, this is your hourly pay. This is what you're worth. And it's like, we need employees, don't get me wrong, but some people have different ideas and different visions. So yeah, that for me, and if I'm being really raw and honest, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, is this is the first program that I've ever joined or invested in. And it wasn't cheap, right? It's a big investment, like you said.
Absolutely.
But ever since I did it, I've seen the immediate success. We're literally right now living the fruits of it. From the moment I invested in May, from what I experienced at WealthCon, from our conversations, from everything, we've just been encouraging, uplifting, pulling triggers, like this podcast, the social media, my friends, Justin, and my executives, just doing so many things that I would have never done had I not spent the money to invest in myself or in that community.
Yeah.
Literally. So, and it's just been a whirlwind of season. Like, oh, that was only 3 months ago. I feel like it's been a year almost, bro. WealthCon was literally, right? How long ago? Like a month and a half ago? Not even.
What was that? That was in, I think July.
July, dude. Yeah. And we're in August, not even a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
That's insane. I felt like it was 4 years ago.
I know.
I'm exaggerating, of course. But so for people listening, do it. Pull the trigger. And like you said, money's infinite. So if these programs, these masterminds are too expensive, $5,000, $10,000 to get in, right? Like raise capital. There's money out there. Find a mentor, a friend, a uncle, a best friend that believes in you, that you really want to chase after this, and say, hey, would you loan me or would you bless me with this? Because I know I can do it. And I promise you, like, it's going to change the game. Or like work really hard, save up money, and then do it. Like whatever you got to do to get there, right? That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it. You don't have to join a group. I think at some point you probably should.
Right.
Just because, I mean, forget the education and all of that stuff that it provides. Just the network is the most valuable thing. But even if you have to, like, go find somebody, say you're younger, you don't have a lot of money, you come from a small town, go find somebody in your small town that's doing something that you would want to do, and
or just running a good
offer
business.
to work for them for free. You know what I mean? There's a ton of people to learn from. And I think that's very important. Somebody that I was talking to recently about, like, when you're looking for a job, we were talking about like commercial real estate companies and things like that. And she's a pretty high up. She owns a company, like 40 employees. Nice. She does industrial development, all kinds of stuff. And she was like, when you're looking for a company, don't just pick a company based on
the name,
based on the company. She's like, that doesn't matter at all. Pick it based on who you can be working for, who you can be learning with. Like, that is so much more valuable than the company or anything you're working for. So, yeah, just surround yourself with really good people, and I think your life will change in exponential ways.
Sheesh. So good, brother. So speaking on WealthCon community, let's talk on WealthCon, because for me, it changed my entire life, literally.
Yeah.
It literally, I mean, we were talking, we went together, we stayed together, we experienced everything that WealthCon provided. Thank you, Ryan, and everybody who's part of that. I used to be a cynic, big cynic on, like, these conventions, these Las Vegas things. They just go there to party and do rock and roll and all that stuff. It's not really a networking event. It's not really going to teach me anything. It's way too much money to do that, right? Yeah. Again, we're talking about investing in yourself and being in the room. Can you elaborate? Did it change your life? What did you take away from it? What was it like being in a room of what we just talked about, like-minded people, or people who are absolutely crushing it, like Brandon Turner, Ryan Pineda, all these big guys, Bradley, like, crazy. What was it like? What did you take away?
Man, I mean, I got a lot from it. I guess it's not a simple, pinpointed answer, but first of all, it's extremely inspirational to see all the things that these people do. And it just, you hear people's stories of where they came from and where they are now, you know, absolutely crushing it in life, super successful, happy. I mean, that's like the most important thing. And it's inspiring to see, like, it makes you feel like anyone can do it.
Yeah.
It really just takes hard work, dedication, discipline, consistency, like just getting after it every day. And no matter whether you're feeling down or whatever, like, you got to put in the work, but you can achieve anything that you want, and you surround yourself with the right people, like, it'll happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, WealthCon was really cool. That was my first event too.
Same.
It definitely exceeded my expectations.
Surpassed.
Yeah. So I plan on going to as many of them as I can. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just meet a lot of really good people, and yeah, I think it was cool. It was a good experience.
I know for me, everything you said is 100% true. Inspirational, seeing it can be done. Even these guys were only talking for like 20, 30 minutes, and I'm like, there's so much knowledge. Like, I'm writing everything down.
Yeah.
There's so much we could take from it.
Yeah.
But I literally I had two major things that stood out to me, and one of them was the fear of man versus fear of God. I think I shared this with you. I'm not 100% sure. But not all of them were obviously Christian, but a lot of them, even if they weren't Christian, had what people say, the purpose and the why before they even got into anything, right? Remember that? I don't know if they introed themselves, they're like, you need to do your, like, this is where I came from, like their story. And it wasn't until I got, like, I'm trying to think of some people. Kent Clothier, remember him? He was the first guy that spoke. So he had $1 billion business, lost it all in lawsuits, and then from the ground up started a wholesaling, flipping, all that stuff, real estate company. And he said when the reason he lost all of it was pride, had no purpose, just wanted the money, like all this bad stuff. And it came out to show. And he's like, I thank God every day. He's like, I needed that fall to realize I need to have a why and a purpose, and I need to do this for the right reasons. Ryan talks about it. Brandon Turner talks about it. Everybody. So for me, it was like, okay, why am I doing this was a huge thing. And then the second thing that I really took away from it was that Anthony O'Neill question. Remember when I went up in front of everybody? I was shaking in my boots.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
I would have been stuttering up there.
I thought I was going to stutter. My leg was like shaking. But I really just went, because he said something, and then that's why I asked it, because I was writing. I was really, really paying attention. I felt like God was speaking to me, and he was like, dude, you fear the opinion of man over fear what I've told you to do. And I'm like, sheesh. But
damn, that's deep.
It's deep. And Anthony O'Neill was a Christian. He was dope. He was on Dave Ramsey's team and podcast. And he said something in the middle of his thing, because he was talking about the circles of like content, basically, like number 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't know if you remember Anthony O'Neill's thing. Yeah. Personal brand. Right. That's what it was. Sorry. He was talking about how you should start your personal brand. And I was like, what we were just talking about before the podcast. I'm like, I'm not a social guy, social media guy. I am social. I'm not a creative guy. I sell myself short. I'm like, I don't have time for this and all that stuff. And then he said something about, like, if you film something and you look dumb, don't post it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to think that all the time because I'm mad. I'm a perfectionist. So I went up there. There was only 2 questions. I was second one. Freaking shout out to Pat Hilton, made me get up and walk over versus the other guy was in his chair. I'm like, great. So I had to walk all the way up. And I asked the question. I was like, hey, Anthony, I heard you say this. Look, I think it can help a lot of people in the room, but I am a perfectionist. Like, I have taken pictures and videos before, and I'm like, either A, I look ugly, B, I don't like what I sound like or say, or there's no value here, blah, blah, blah. And then he was just like, dude, like, basically, because he was talking about how he doesn't believe in debt, right? He believes only in actually building that, kind of like Dave Ramsey. He's like, if you look at a video or a statement or something that you're posting on social media that is actually what you truly believe in, you're good. That's all that matters. What you've been called to do, what you're actually doing, what you fully are convicted about, post that. Now, if I look at a video or something where I feel like that's not my message, that's not what I'm supposed to be saying or doing, that is what I look at and go, that's dumb. That's not me. Right. And so what I took away on top of everything at WorldCon was just being raw and genuine and trying to help people and giving value. It's the easiest thing to do because it's you. Don't be anybody else. And number 2, it's like, that's actually authentic. Like, people are actually going to appreciate that, So number 1 was the fear of God, fear of man. Number 2 was like starting this, like a personal brand, if you will. So it's helped me so much. It's pushed past my barriers of fear of doing all this. We're out here doing it, learning on the way. And it's cool, man. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, props to you for starting this.
Thanks, bro. I'm
glad.
That's
awesome. And that takeaway is, that's huge.
Yeah.
The God versus man.
It's crazy. Like, whoever's out there, the haters, if they're going to hate, great. We love you. We're trying to help people, literally.
Yeah, and that's all you can do, right?
Yeah.
Just put your best foot forward every day and just try to serve your fellow man as much as you can.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, that, we do get so wrapped up in that and caring about what people we don't even talk to or care about, think of us.
Yeah. Never met them.
You let them, and you let them dictate what you do. It's a fear that we need to break. Yeah. And I feel like social media has made it worse for some people because you see all the competition and all that. I know for myself, I get like a little bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Where I feel like what I'm sharing isn't good enough, things like that, which is another thing that you need to, for me, try to move past and overcome, and just
Yeah.
like everybody's in their own place and their own different spot in the path and the journey.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be someone that can learn from where you've been. So
Yeah.
just got to remember that.
Imposter syndrome's a real thing, bro. We have, so I think I've told you on Friday for the solar company that I help run, we do like a little core team sanctuary, like prayer thing before we start the day every Friday. And we were talking about our fears and stuff like that. And, yeah, like imposter syndrome is such a real thing. And I gave the group I've had all these feelings, and the thing is, like, this doesn't go away even if you start doing it. Like, I'm doing this right now, and it's like they'll come in, these intrusive thoughts. Like, we'll wrap up. I'll look at a video, like these little thoughts going like, what are you doing? You suck. Like, you're not, like, all these, and it's real. Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And I told my friends, because they all went around and said their fears, and I'm like, guys, I don't have a fear right now. Like, this is what I did. Ready? You're gonna laugh. The cameras, this is gonna be really funny real quick. I'm like, because I'm a visual person, this is the visual I could paint for you. Ready? I picture myself walking towards the goal or vision or purpose that I have. I'm walking every day, and these intrusive or barriers or whatever or fears come in, and they punch me. But I just, like, the punch is right here. Like, if I take one step, it's gonna punch me. I'll just take the step. It'll hurt. I was even in front of them. I was like, look, I'm getting hit, but I'm still going. Like, I don't care, so I'm like, yes, these fears are real, but I'm not even giving them power, because, like, I'm just going to walk right through it. Like, yes, did I spend X amount of money on investment for WealthCon and Wealthy Investor and these cameras and this studio? It's like, these could all be fears. These could all be like a waste of money, those intrusive thoughts that I'm getting. But I'm like, no, God just told me to do this. I have the right community and friends that believe in me, and all the guys that are mentoring us or we're following are literally saying, we did the same thing. Why aren't you doing it? You're literally losing out on so much opportunity if you don't do this. So I'm just running like through that tunnel of like getting punched. It's like the best visual I could give. And they were all laughing. It was really good. But yeah, so we touched on community, the importance of that. We touched on WealthCon, how life-changing that was. And part of the reason I started this podcast, again, is just giving value back to people, remembering your why and purpose. And so this podcast is to help people, to raise a community of like, hey, we're doing it. What are you doing on your day-to-day that you feel you're impacting people outside of yourself? There's no wrong answer, whether it's like in health or relationships. In this right now, you're helping people. Or what are you doing, or what are you envisioning to do one day once you do have like your business flowing, revenues coming in, like all that stuff?
Nice, deep question. So I guess on a day-to-day basis, I just try to live my life. I try to live my life as much in, I guess, the service or towards helping people as much as I can. I think that's huge. And I'm trying to build myself into a place where I can help more people.
Same.
And learn more and grow more and be able to share more. I guess in terms of right now, probably like the biggest thing where I help people is through like health and fitness, through the gym, all of that.
For sure.
That's where I feel like I get the most. The only reason I really do that, I mean, I don't really do that for the money or any of that. I do that because it's a good feeling to be able to help somebody with that, because that was something that changed my life for the better, and I've learned a lot through the years that I can help others with. So on a day-to-day, like that's where I'm able to do that. Commercial real estate, not as much right now, but we're working on that. And I mean, long-term, the vision is, I was actually talking about this with my buddy the other day. Like, the goal at my end of my life is, I want to be really successful and make a lot of money, but at the end of my life, like, I don't think I would give all that money to my kids or anything. I think I definitely wouldn't. All my money that I make is going to end up going towards like charity.
Dope. So cool, man.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to give the kids a little something.
Yeah. Take care of the family.
But there's so many people that need it, and I think that you can make a really positive impact in this world if you want to.
For sure.
And so just trying to build up as much as I can to be able to give as much as I can.
Yeah.
Is the goal.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're working on it. And recently I've been looking up too. I've been trying to figure out something that maybe we could talk about. I don't know. I've been trying to
So
you're somebody that I look up to in terms of like faith.
yeah.
And I've been trying to grow my own faith because I wouldn't say that I'm not a religious person, but I've always been spiritual.
Yeah.
I grew up in the Catholic Church, went to Catholic school my whole life, and I think a common theme with a lot of people that grow up in that world is that it pushes them out, it pushes them away. I don't know anybody I graduated high school with that is like religious at all. So being around people like you and your friends and everything like that, and a lot of other people that I've met, there's a lot of value to being part of, to having a faith.
Yeah.
So anyways, I've been building on that and trying to figure out how can I be more of service to people. Been looking into like volunteer organizations that I can start spending my time at. I want to start doing that. But yeah, trying to really like move forward with my faith. And I think there's a lot to provide people with when you start, like you said, living in God's eyes and not so much like in fear of common man, all of that.
Yeah.
We're all created in God's image, right?
Yeah.
And we're all one.
Yeah.
And just kind of being able to, help each other out as much as we can. But, definitely been working on the faith thing. And I've been, got to talk to you about some of that stuff.
Let's do
to
it
kind of
over here. Let's
figure
talk
out how
about
to move forward with it. Well,
yeah.
I've been reading the Bible every day.
Let's go.
Since WealthCon, every day I've been reading the Bible.
Since WealthCon.
I read like 2 chapters every day. Been working on that. I'm reading Genesis right now.
Dope.
And that's an interesting book.
It is very interesting.
Yeah,
Poetic.
It gets a little weird, but
gets a little weird. First of all, bro, I'm so proud of you. Like that's amazing. Like to admit that, step into that. You're doing so good. That's literally the best place to start is to read the Bible. Because it's his word, it's God's word, it's powerful, it's a double-edged sword. It'll convict, it'll rebuke, it'll teach, it'll uplift, it'll do everything. It's literally alive. And if you watch the last podcast we had, it's his brother-in-law, Justin's brother-in-law. Shout out to Luke. He is planning a church. He has been a pastor before. He's a God-fearing man. Love him to death. And literally last topic, we barely spoke about investments. We just went after it with God. And we like literally, what you kept saying the word religious. And we were literally talking about against that spirit of religiosity, can't say the word, spirit of religion, because it includes that fear. So for example, like you even said yourself, you're like, I don't know anybody that has left in my little group of high school people that did CDC, did a Catholic church and left religious. Like, nowhere in the, like, you're not supposed to, it's like going to a wealthy investor and going, yeah, no, this sucks and leaving. Like, if you're not getting any value from God, then like, of course you, or like whatever part of organization you are, you're not going to be part of it because you're getting no value. And what I would just say, it's like the whole point of God and Jesus in the Bible is that it's not a religion per se. It's a relationship and it's a communication and it's living for something outside of yourself. Like you're big in spirituality and a lot of people say this, but like you're living for something bigger than you. When you have no spiritual, no God, no nothing, you yourself become like, you try to become your own God. And the thing is, we're human and broken, and we're going to get to a place where we don't got it all together, especially if we're trying to be super successful people carrying the weight of a company, of millions of dollars, of your own family and kids, which is why those guys that were speaking at WealthCon, when they said they needed that, they have seen people with no why, no purpose, or no spirituality get to that place and hate their lives or be at the end of it or just be the worst leaders because they're their own God. They're their own selfishness. So all that to say is, yeah, bro, it's not a religion. It's a relationship. I would encourage you in that. Like literally, like what you're doing is the best thing you could do. We can talk more. We can hang out. There could be other supplements, if you will, to reading the Bible, but that's literally it. If you read it for yourself, it'll come alive to you. It'll speak to you. It'll like convict you, and you'll find him. You know, he says in his word, you draw near and I'll draw near to you. Like, it's just simple as that, right? I'm pretty black and white, bro. So that it speaks to me, and I'm like, that's what it is. And then the other thing I was gonna say is community. You know, like you said, me like talking to me, or even getting planted into like Wealthy Kingdom for Ryan Pineda. I hit them up, and I'm starting that too.
Oh, cool.
I know that. I think it's in Frisco. One of my friends who's also into real estate investing does this thing on Saturday where it's just all men. And it's like brothers in arms, like for God early in the morning, and also for business, like entrepreneur type vibe, which is kind of like what we're going for. So there is communities out there. You just got to like network and find them. And then you'll see soon enough that it'll align with everything. And then the last thing I'll say is, I mean, the Bible's going to talk to you how it's going to talk to you. But I like to do Old Testament, New Testament, like go back and forth. Like one day, that's how I do my devotions every day, is I read one day the Old Testament and then one day the New Testament. So I'm seeing the full picture. Because what the Old Testament does is it prophesies and it basically speaks to what's going to happen in the New Testament. And then you'll start seeing so many alignments. You're like, oh, wait, isn't that what Jesus just quoted? Wasn't that like in Deuteronomy or Isaiah or this? Like, how did he know the scriptures so well at such a young age? Those were thousands. They didn't even have books. They had scrolls and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I forget how many maybe Justin, you can look this up real quick. The number of parallels or fulfilled prophecies that there are in the Bible, it's like a big number.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. And it's very like hard to get those all perfectly aligned over thousands of years. Like, it's when you look at it like from a math and scientific standpoint, like God is real. Like, you just really can't argue it. And so Justin will pull that up in a second when he gets it. But yeah, I'll just encourage you in doing that. And I think it is a huge part of doing anything business wise. Like, if you don't have faith or anything, then 1,800, 1,800, like, what is it? Fulfilled prophecies?
Yeah, Old Testament and New Testament, 1,800 fulfilled prophecies, like complete to the T.
To the T. Over how many years is it? Like, does it say there? Over thousands of years.
It's a lot of different books, a lot of different authors.
A lot of different, bro, it just blows my mind. How can there's just no way you could align them. This is literally thousands of years, like you said, different authors. It's wild, but yeah.
Yeah, it all seems like it's the ultimate wisdom. Like, you really probably don't ever need to read another book besides that. And yeah, so I read John, I read Matthew, I read Peter, and now I'm reading Genesis.
Dope. Very cool.
So I started with those. I definitely found those to be I got more out of them. Genesis is like,
yeah, could be.
It's interesting, but it's kind of weird, and it's a little confusing, and there's a lot about just like having kids.
It's his promise and his covenant.
Yeah. But all the red text and everything
dope.
Is I found that to be very impactful.
Yeah.
And it's interesting what you said about how as you seek God, would you say he draws closer to you?
Yeah, as you draw near, he draws near to you.
Yeah. I've definitely been seeing that like every day in my life, like different things. It's been popping up in my head more and more, whereas that never really happened.
Yeah.
Which has been cool, and it's been inspiring, and it's been making me want to go into it more and more.
So cool.
And like right now, like my favorite thing to do every day is like read the Bible. Like,
Let's
I
go.
love that. And yeah, I think it's important. I think right now we have a lot of, this might be a little hot take, but right now we have a lot of, the world or the country is a little bit divided.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of people trying to tear apart families, tear apart religion, things like that. And
yeah,
truthfully, like I don't think that's the way to go, and it seems like it's creating a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And whereas I see people like you, I see your friends, I see the people that I know, everybody that I know that's into God and the Christian faith and Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You all are good people. You guys are good people trying to help people, trying to make this world better. And it's like, man, obviously you guys are doing something right.
Right.
And
awesome.
why would I want to be a part of the group that is just throwing out hate everywhere. So
Yeah.
just I think what you're doing and what everybody else is doing and how you're so open about it is very important because, yeah, I think we're in a time where especially a lot of young men are going to need that, and they're going to need that help and the wisdom. And I think that the Bible and all of that, there's a lot of wisdom and there's a lot of things to help them with their lives there.
So good, bro.
And it's probably challenging sometimes, especially when you first get into it, to be open about it.
Right.
At least I feel like for me,
Yeah.
it's new, it's weird, right? But I think that, yeah, the way you talk about it is very, very important.
Yeah.
And I think we all need to be like that.
Yeah.
Or strive for that.
I appreciate you. Those words are very kind, bro. Love you. And shout out to the whole community that we have of friends and family.
Yeah.
Dude, I could talk about this forever because it's just so key what you said. Like that's pretty black and white. Like, why would you try and be in part of the group that divides people, or the group that unites people, like, or that builds up people, or that loves people? And it's just as simple as that. And for me, it's this is what it is because again, I'm black and white. If I am not talking to Jesus every day, if I'm not having a devotion, if I'm not having my meditation with him, if I'm not practicing having a relationship with him daily, I am the worst version of myself, literally, because this world is tough. It ain't easy. Like, we have it good. We're blessed at the end of the day. Some people are born in bad neighborhoods. Some people are like, so a myriad of reasons. Someone's being born right now in a third world country with no running water. You know, like, if you don't have a spiritual being or something, you can go through life hating life and hating the people around you. Why would you want to live that way? When you encounter Christ, it changes absolutely everything. It gives you the wisdom, the encouragement, the love to go out and love people and take care of people and just live outside yourself. I've brought this up like 3 times already. I'll do it again because I just think it's such a motivating story. Is that UFC fighter? I forget his name again, Justin. What's his name? Say it one more time. Themba Garimbo. You heard about him? I'm sure you have.
I haven't.
You haven't? Oh,
No.
Let's do it then. Let's real quick. So Themba Garimbo is this fighter in the UFC who has basically said, I'm going to be champ. Point blank, period. He came from what country, Justin? Zimbabwe. He lives in a couch at the gym that he practices at every day. And he's already won a couple fights in the UFC. And he's trying to become champ.
Oh, good for him.
So his story caught wind. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson visits him, which he was like, oh my God.
I saw that video.
That's him.
Yeah, okay.
And so he showed him, he's like, this is my 10 reasons why I get up every day. And it's like his family, for God, for all this stuff that is good. Like, he literally sleeps in the most uncomfortable couch in a gym, dude. And all the money he's making from these fights, he's sending back home. He's not even keeping himself to buy like an apartment or like logically make sense of something. He's sending it back home. So again, the story caught wind. Dwayne visits him, encourages him, hangs out with him, and then takes him to a house and says, this is your house. Like, how awesome is that? Like,
That's amazing.
Dwayne is like, let me bless this guy. And God's blessing him because he's like, dude, your story is impacting so many people, helping so many people. You're taking care of what's important, which is you, your dream, what I've called you to do, and your family. That's it. And from that, things will all be added to you. Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God, and then everything else will be added to you. And he's a living testimony of that. He's like, I'm keeping it simple. These are my reasons why. God, the kingdom, family, and my vision and dream, and everything else will make sense. And he's been disciplined and diligent to that, and look at that. So I love that story. Like, when I first saw it, I was tearing. I was like, this is so cool. Like,
That's awesome.
I want to hear a story of like someone doing that and me being in a financial place to be like, dude, you need this much money? Here it is. Like, take
Absolutely.
it. Like, gift it. You're good. So yeah, dude, what you say is so on the money. I'm happy to see you on this journey, and I'm with you, right next to you, helping you out, whatever you need. Yeah. And I think it's a perfect segue into like one of the biggest questions I like to ask in the podcast to everybody. Again, I don't have to have an answer, but what would you say is like what gets you, and you kind of already answered it, I guess, but what is like your why, your purpose? Like, what makes you get up every morning to do what you do, go to commercial real estate and learn on the side for wholesaling, be nice to people, work out and help people in the health sector of life? What is your purpose and your why?
Good question. So I guess I kind of have I guess I probably have it's a big answer, but there's a lot of different factors and a lot of different pieces, but it all really boils down to, I guess the first thing is, well, God created us in his image,
Yeah.
right? So we are all worth more than we know.
So good, bro.
And
My worth.
our time on this planet is limited. In this universe, or, you know, our spirits will probably live on. Our spirits live on, but right now we got this one time, and I think for you to not take full advantage of it would be, I mean, I feel like that's a sin almost, you know, and to not treat your body and your health. I think health is like number one.
I love it.
Because if the vehicle that you're going out into this world with, right, your body is not at its best state, you're not gonna be able to provide as much as you can to the world.
Right.
So health and just really living to be the best possible version of yourself that you could possibly be in this world. I mean, that is a big part of why I do everything that I do. I feel like if at the end of my life, I think I heard Dean Graziosi say this, and it stuck with me, but the biggest fear is at the end of your life, meeting the person that you could have been if you wouldn't have faced your fears, and you wouldn't have gotten up out of bed and, you know, done the uncomfortable things. If you would meet that person and see everything that you could have been, if you meet him that person at the end of your life, like, and you are not that, because you know, succumb to your fears, and you succumb to other people's opinions, and you succumb, you know, you didn't follow your heart. Like that is so scary to know that you could have been so much more, and you didn't do it, and you could have helped so much more people, and you didn't do it because you were scared, and, you know, you let your emotions and everything overcome you. So I think that's a big part of my why. The other part of my why would also be ultimate freedom, truly. And like, I don't do anything for the sake of money in and of itself. I think that is that's something that you'll chase that forever. You'll never be happy. There's endless money.
For sure.
But for me, I want freedom, and I want freedom for not only me, but for everybody around me. My family, number one, my friends. I don't want, like, my life goal I don't want anybody around me to ever have to worry about anything, about money, about nothing. Like, I don't ever want it to be a thought.
So good. Love it, bro.
And I believe that that's possible, and I believe I can do it. I know I can do it. Like,
that's right.
And I feel like I'd be letting everybody down if I didn't carry that out, and if I didn't just do everything that I could to provide for everybody around me and make everybody's life better. So for me, it's the ultimate freedom. Like you said before, you can't put a value on my time. Well, there's a lot of people that do. There's a lot of people that let people put a price tag on their time, and I think that's wrong. And it's very easy to fall into that. It's a safe route, but you got to push beyond that, and become your own person and take control of your destiny.
So good, bro.
'Cause we only got one shot at this, and you might as well do it to the absolute best that you can.
So good.
So
inspired. Whoever heard Will say that is going to be inspired and moved, bro. That was so well said, man. And I love the first part, especially because that's what stemmed everything even right before WealthCon. It started in May after right after I started the group. I went to church at Upper Room, and I felt God and the Holy Spirit say, like, the fear of man versus fear of God. And I don't know if you know this parable, but the parable of the 10 talents. Do you know that one?
No.
So basically the story goes like this. The master had to go get anointed to be a king and come of the land and come back. And he asked 3 servants, hey, I'm going to give you, he gave one servant 10 gold, let's say. Let's just simplify it, 10 gold. Then another one 5, and then another one 1, right? And he went and did his thing. He came back. First servant doubled it. So 10 to 20. Second servant doubled it, 5 to 10. To both of those servants, he gave even more, right? He doubled. He's like, because you gave me double, I'm going to give you double now, right? And then the last servant, he said, hey, God, I was fearful of you. or hey, master. It's obviously an analogy to God, to your master. I was fearful of you and what was going to happen. So I hid it. I stored it away. So here it is, the one talent you gave me, the one thing. And God's like, why did you do that? Like, at least put it in the bank so I gain interest. He literally says that. Like, why would you go and waste your talent? The gold, I gave you this.
Yeah.
I gave you these abilities. I gave you these gifts. I gave you this money, whatever it is in your scenario. Like, you could analyze it to you. And for that, I'm going to take it away and give it to the servant that was faithful with my talent. So he took it away from the one he had. He took it away and gave it to the guy who doubled it and was like, here's his talent. He's like, why? He already has enough. And he's like, because to whom, he says, to whom more has, more is given. So the more we step into this, like, the more responsibility we'll get. You know, that funny, I just popped up to my head, but that Spider-Man quote, with ultimate power comes more responsibility. It's true though, right?
Absolutely.
You build a CEO, company of finance, whatever, you're getting more responsibility. And you have to steward that very well. And so I had that moment with God where he was like, dude, I have literally given you so many talents and gifts and you're using them, but you're limiting yourself. Like, by limiting yourself, you're limiting me. You don't believe that you can do this. You don't believe that anything, like, in what I've told you to do. And I'm just like, okay, I messed up. I'm sorry. I don't want to be that dude with the 1. I want to be the 5 or the 10. I want to double it. So that struck the fear of God. And what you said in the beginning is like, where at the end of my life, or at the end of life, you want to look at your potential self and go, wow, I really dropped the ball. Or you don't want to look at God. Wow, I want to look at God when we're back in heaven and he says, good job, faithful servant. Like, I don't want to we're going to get an account of our life. And I don't want it to be like, you missed here, you missed. Like, sure, there's grace for that. But like, I don't want it to be a long list of you missed every single responsibility and duty that you had as a man, as a father, as a leader, as a friend, as a teacher, as whatever. You just dropped the ball and didn't get after it. So that's where I'm at right now. And same. That's why we're going to be forever friends, because we have like basically the same why, same purpose. People around me impacting the world and making sure that it's for the betterment of the kingdom, for sure, man. So, man, this was amazing. Before we wrap up, is there any last words, any encouragement you want to say, anything on your heart?
No, I think we touched on a lot of things. We went a little deep there on some stuff, but I guess the whole tone of all of this has just been follow your heart.
Yeah.
Follow your heart. Face your fears.
Yeah.
Most of all, there's going to be a lot of them. Face your fears. Dive fully into them. Find people around you that can help you.
Yeah.
But really just live a life of love and service for others. And I think your life is going to be a lot better.
Amen, bro.
And I hope more people do that, especially today, in today's world. There's a lot of hate. I notice it everywhere. And that's what they want, man. That's what the bad people want. They want us to hate each other and don't give into it. Just spread love where you can, and you're going to live a better life. And again, thank you very much for having me on here. This was awesome. This was a great experience.
First of many episodes.
Yeah, this was really cool. And best of luck. And I know you're going to absolutely kill it. So
thanks, bro. Love you.
I can't wait to
watch
watch it.
We both are.
Can't wait to watch all this.
We'll do a podcast in the near future. We'll replay where we were at and where we're at now, for sure.
Just keep going.
And just keep doing it and keep
awesome.
encouraging people. And so, yeah, that's the podcast for today. Episode 3 in the books with our boy, William Schwalm. Will. Yeah, he's going to be doing big things. We love you guys for joining and always just being part of this community. We hope it encouraged you, it uplifted you, it inspired you. Reach out to us if you need anything. We love you. Let's go. Justin, anything? We're good. Wrapped up. Episode 003. Let's
Peace out,
go.
guys.